Where do you find yourself amongst the chaos? Welcome to this week's World Affairs Report number 15. I'm Helen Jane Rose. I am a channel automatic writer, author, energy healer, and these reports are weekly through automatic writing that I then read out verbatim. And then my lovely partner Ged, who's a cranial sacral therapist and acupuncturist and a energy healer, he'll come and join me and unpack the reports. And the reports come from the Divine Council that we affectionately now call the DC. And they drop every Thursday. Yeah, every Thursday at 6 o'clock. Okay, so I am going to read out this week's World Affairs Truth Report. Welcome, beautiful souls, to this week's World Affairs Truth Report number 15. What we say today comes with a peppering that if you have been working on your internal self, becoming more and more aware of how you are feeling, focusing on taking responsibility for yourself, then what we say should come as a calming balm for your soul. A true divide is going to come, perhaps not in the way that you think it is. A divide that will see some feeling like they are living in heaven, whilst others will experience the opposite. This is by design and based on everyone's internal state. If you are at war within yourself, that will start to be exemplified in your external experiences. If you are leaning towards a peaceful disposition within, finding more moments of silent connection from within you, more moments of being self-aware of you, not trying to shift responsibility, but trying to listen from within, then you are about to find that the peace that's starting to build from within you will start to take on a different feel. It will truly start to feel that you are in the world, but most definitely not of it. For you will be living and functioning in a different way. You will be functioning from a love of true self rather than working against it. Rather than unconsciously working against yourself, you will be taking back the reins of control and starting to feel who is truly you. We are urging all to really look at the Martyr programming that is running within them, that hasn't been healed and feels important and empowering, yet is affecting true connection with self. We come as a reminder that connection with your true self sees you filling yourself full before you can truly be a divine vessel of activation and remembering for others. The pattern of martyrdom is rife within the spiritual awakening community, and many are working on religious oaths that they made in the past, yet in practice are still reverting to them. We are here to help free you from all the patterns and programming that have affected you, that you now have the true opportunity to be free from, to experience in a sense heaven on earth. But the buck does stop with you. If only you could see how much you affect yourselves by falling prey to programs within you that feel powerful to you. If you could become so vulnerable as to say inwardly, I just don't know what to do, what to think, what to know what to do, that's a good place to be open for you, opening up the space for your true soul, higher self to step through. Many believe that they are very connected to their true self, to their soul, yet they are not. This is in no way said in judgment, just the truth of spiritual delusion, if you like. Many fall prey to being more than, more spiritual, more connected, more knowledgeable, and this in and of itself is a sign that perhaps they're not. Why do we bring this up this week? Because we cannot stress enough how much you are in charge of your own reality. Now, what we would like to caveat with this is this. Many times on the path of surrender, you will find yourselves in situations that don't make sense to your mind, that ultimately don't make sense to you. Yet how are you within the confusion? Can you see the gold, or are you falling victim? Let us try and explain. To truly shift into the surrendered state of living in the flow, and remember, the flow doesn't always move in the logical way your mind expects it to. You have to let go of how you think things should be. And sometimes in the opening up of the space to allow your soul higher self through, you may find yourself in experiences and situations that may not necessarily seem spiritual to you. Yet where you find yourself in the very moment you are at is perfect for you, even if you can't grasp why at the time you are where you are at. We ask you to trust that things can change in a moment for you. Sometimes perhaps being out of the spiritual world for a little Sometimes being out of the spiritual world for a little while is exactly what is needed for you. For you can never truly be out. What is actually occurring is a strengthening with your true self. This is where we would like to leave you this week. With love, the DC. Okay, so as usual, I'll just tune in and see if there's any additional messages that want to come through me. And I feel like I'm not supposed to close my eyes, so I'm just going to run with what I'm feeling like. It's like I can't close them, and normally I just kind of feel this energy where I just need to close my eyes. So I don't know why. Maybe nothing will come through, but I'm just going to keep my eyes open and just see if anything comes through me before Ged comes and joins me. Okay, so just bear with me for a moment. Just start speaking and just see that as you look through your eyes, the energy has shifted and you are seeing everything through different visuals, shall we say. Just sit with this for a moment. Just allow yourself just to hold the energy. With your eyes open, this is how you know you have connected into higher energy based on what your physical eyes are showing you. No longer being able to focus properly. Just hold the energy. Just hold the frequency. Just keeping your eyes open. This is I, Saint Germain, talking through the vessel that is Helen. I speak through her channel. As she holds my frequency within her field, I am able to speak through. And say, as the world starts to become a little bumpier, as certain countries become more prominent on the world stage for not being safe places to be, I ask you to put your humanitarian head on, and before you join in with the rhetoric that is to become stronger and stronger, to pause and to really feel into how would love respond. I know in a sense I am talking to the converted. However, you will be surprised at how fearful people become when they feel that their livelihood could be affected by others needing a safe space to stay. It is highly probable that you could see what I will refer to as awful situations for any human being to be put in, whereby people are so displaced that they have nowhere to go other than to lay down and ask for life to take them. And as this situation becomes more prominent, in certain places across the world, I say this not in a sense of doom and gloom, but many voices will be needed to talk about how inhumane the world has really become when souls can really switch off from another, especially when it becomes on such a large scale. Now, why am I saying this now in the way that I am saying it? It's perhaps a reminder that sometimes the spiritual calling can be action-based as well as inwardly focused. And perhaps you are coming to a time where a united front amongst the awake ones to try and help to shift perceptions on a bigger scale about humanity as a whole being from one family, regardless of colour, race, religion. All one family who in an ideal world should be looking out for one another as they would their own. Now, that message is a very simple one that has been talked about forever. However, it will become more and more important to rise above the duality, that will start to become stronger now. And so I just bring this message of oneness, of remembering that you are all one. You are souls from the same source, regardless of religion, regardless of colour, regardless of culture, and regardless of where you find yourselves in amidst the chaos. And lastly, a reminder to call on the golden flame, to ask to be surrounded by the golden flame, to imagine, visualize, or see yourself within this flame, and trust that it is helping and supporting and strengthening your connection to your source at this time. And that is where I wish to leave you today. With love, I am Saint Germain. Okay, well, right, that was quite a nothing new message, but maybe just a lovely reminder that there is so much divide on this planet, and that feeling that it's probably going to get more and more so, you know, this patriotic, like, we are British, or we are this, or we are that, and we have to like defend ourselves, and we have to look out for our own. And I guess it's just that reminder that actually we've come far in our soul journeys and our spiritual awakening, if you like, to remember that it is irrelevant. We're all the same. We all come from the same source, regardless of our country or our culture or our religion. And I guess we just have to really keep remembering that, and reminding people as they perhaps become, I don't know, maybe more bigoted. Maybe that's what we're going to see in the times ahead. Anyway, enough of me waffling on. I am going to move over.
Wow. Well, I felt that was very different compared to, or in addition to what's been happening before, because I've never experienced you channeling that way before.
No, neither have I.
Yeah.
No. Did it?
No, we've talked a lot about, you know, where's this going, and in terms of our body of work, and it seems to be unfolding quite, you know, I guess in human time we get frustrated with it, but in reality a lot's unfolded, especially since we've started this work, and Helen's channeling is unfolding in different ways, and they've chosen to do it live, which was very interesting, and well done for holding the energy for that. We know, yeah, it's fabulous, and we're excited to see where it goes, and there will be news on that in the coming weeks. So I just want to, because this is live recording, if you like, I was taking notes while Helen was channeling there, so I just wanted to pick up on a few things before I unpack the channeled, the written work. So Saint Germain was suggesting there's going to be significant human displacement. He didn't suggest how that would come, whether that would be a natural event or an orchestrated event. But it's something I've heard before, and it feels true to me that if we didn't sit up and pay attention enough to the wars that were taking place at the moment, and I'm not saying that we aren't, there's a lot of people really putting a lot of effort into campaigning and protesting, and this is a beautiful thing, but it's not enough. And there's a suggestion here that there's going to be a lot of human displacement, I think through a natural disaster, but that's just my personal feeling, that's going to wake the masses, if you like, rather than the few that are campaigning. It's going to wake up the masses to say, oh my God, enough is enough. We've got to start caring for humanity, and especially those that are in such a desperate state that there's nothing to do but help. And the reason I feel it's going to be a natural event is because we wouldn't be able to access a war zone. So I don't feel it's going to be that. I think it's going to be somewhere where we can get access, and thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people can go and help these people that are in a difficult state. And I think that's going to be a huge catalyst for a change in consciousness. Amidst the difficulty, the challenges, especially like the more severe they are, then maybe the greater the opportunity and result. It was interesting that because we choose a title at the start of the program that goes out on YouTube because it needs a broadcast title, and I'd suggested to Helen that it was where are we at amidst confusion, but she read it out as amidst the chaos, and that's what Saint Germain said in the message, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's kind of like he was already tuning in to say, no, you got the title wrong. So thanks for that. But yeah, beautiful ending to that. It is a bit scary and concerning, but they really go out of the way to try and reassure us, to stay grounded, stay present, don't go into that fear. And Saint Germain has asked us to connect with the golden flame and connect into source energy. So do that now. Don't wait for any sort of major event to happen. Just do that anyway. Keep reaffirming that connection, that deep connection to your source, to creator energy. Be well prepared. So I shall go back to the beginning. Or did you have anything to add to that? I mean, how did you feel there during that, when you were channeling? Because you were having to look in the screen to see your eyes. And did they disappear?
Everything is really interesting. Everything went, the best way I can describe it is really, really fuzzy. That's the best way. So everything, it was almost like, what it reminded me of? When you, on a photo, there's that setting where you focus in on something, but everything else around it is really blurry. The backdrop's really blurry. But it was like that for everything. Yeah. So that's.
And is that unnerving, or did you feel calm? Have you felt that before, or seen that before?
Have I? A few times. It took me back to being at a retreat with Sinea Roman before she passed away, and I remember she was channeling at the front, and I was like in the audience, and I remember looking at her, and that same thing happened then. It just reminded me of it, where everything just went really, the best way I can describe it is really, really blurry. So
maybe cutting out the noise visually as well as auditory.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah. So it begins, welcome beautiful souls to this week's World Affairs Truth Report, changing the title to Where Are You At Amidst the Chaos, but also Where Are You At Amidst the Confusion, which they talk about in the channeling. So we'll come to that in a little while. We say today comes with a peppering, that if you have been working on your internal self, becoming more and more aware of how you're feeling, focusing on taking responsibility for yourself, then what we say should come as a calming balm for your soul, which is a lovely feeling. I imagine most people listening to this at this time are some way on that path, feeling some sense of peace. There's obviously we've still got things to deal with, and we get rocked off our centre now and again. But I think if you're on a journey, pathway towards peace, then it's going to start feeling more and more peaceful, which is to really look forward to. I was interested in the term peppering, so I looked up definitions of peppering. Number 2 in the Oxford Dictionary was to add numerous small elements, words, jokes and details. And you'll hear in the messages that they do throw a few jokes, mutterings of jokes anyway in this, and so they're becoming a bit more playful. The communication, I think, because Helen's channel is opening up. that more information can come through in a I guess in a casual way, or anyway and there's I guess a lot more information. The next one was to ask someone a long series of questions in quick succession, and within this as well they're asking us to self-reflect, to ask questions. Number 2, to ask someone a long series of questions in quick succession, and within this channeling they've asked us to self-reflect. So it's not the questions that are coming from an external source, they're internal questions. We're peppering ourselves with questions in curiosity, and they want us to do that more and more, rather than blaming or looking at external events, being victim, martyrdom, all of those things. We're being asked to question ourselves over and over and over. Where are we at within that? And the last one, which is not in the Oxford Dictionary, is one I've put in. It's a bit spicy, and some of the things in this channeling are a bit spicy. You know, the channeling that we've just heard live as well, you know, is it's difficult to hear sometimes. But if you fundamentally believe in the bigger picture, the divine plan, we should be able to accept it with a bit more ease and grace. So a true divide is going to come, perhaps not in the way you think it is. When it got me thinking, how would people perceive a divide? And if you're in separation consciousness, you're going to think of the divide that serves you, supports your beliefs. And so whether that's religion, whether that's race or creed, or whether you're educated, uneducated, all of those things, whether you live in the north, the south, east or west, division, division, division. And they're absolutely not talking about that at all. And it's really important. Even within the sort of religious world, or some cult worlds as well, they're claiming division. They're claiming that those people that follow them will be saved. A division further ingrained in someone else's belief system. I mean, the idea that some group should be saved because they believe in a certain person, place or thing, and others shouldn't be saved because of that, is bordering on, if not insanity, and should be completely ignored. The DC go on to explain a little bit more about the division. It's a division in consciousness, and it's a separation, and we've spoken on this before. There's going to be opportunities, a split in the road, if you like, where we're being asked to make this choice. We've said this in many of these transmissions. Do you accept oneness, or do you choose separation? Do you choose love over fear, or fear over love? And that's the division that they're talking about. It's nothing to do with individuals in terms of your belief systems, or how good you think you are, or how bad you are. It's about where do you sit with that oneness being the priority. If you consider your fellow humans as being different to you, or separate to you, or worse than you, or better than you, then that needs to be looked at. You need to go inside and assess your own perception and what division means and separation. And an acceptance of oneness is that we're all from this creative source energy, but within that, the Creator enables us to have and be in any reality that we choose. And so some people will not choose a higher state of consciousness because their soul wants to stay in the level of consciousness where we're at now, and that's absolutely fine. They'll continue on their journey in this third dimensional divisive energy, where we learn to understand division to the point where you then understand it and turn back towards oneness. A lot of people are ready now to make that choice, but some people aren't, and we have to respect that. They'll go off on another journey, learning more about it, and that's absolutely fine, and we shouldn't judge them. Yeah, lots of different realities are offered to us. And they say a divide that will see some feeling like they are living in heaven, whilst others will experience the opposite. This is by design and based on everyone's internal state. If you are at war within yourself, that will start to be exemplified in your external experiences. Well, we're already feeling the opposite. We don't really know what heaven is yet, but it's definitely better than what we're experiencing right now. So this is the opposite, but we're being asked. So the division, if you like, will be us choosing a higher state of consciousness, a better way to live. But as I've just explained, so some beings are more than happy to stay here and are not ready to move on yet. So, the DC, we've spoken about this before. So our outer world is a direct reflection, a mirror reflection of what's going on inside. So if we're divisive inside, then division will show up on the outside. And the same with conflict and all those other, distortion energies. Whatever we're perceiving, whatever we're believing in, it's going to show up in our reality. But do we desire something else? And so the universe gives you everything that you want in order to satisfy your wants and desires and beliefs. But we're being led now, we're being shown that there's another way, there's another route, there's another road to take, and it's up to us if we want to take it or not. Actually, when we've had enough of chaos and confusion, then we surrender to the idea of peace. We start to feel peace inside more and more, then that shows up in our outside world. And they say if you're leaning towards a peaceful disposition within, finding more moments of silent connection from within you, more moments of being self-aware of you, not trying to shift responsibility, but truly trying to listen from within, then you are about to find that the peace that's starting to build from within you will start to take on a different feel. I wasn't sure what they meant by that, but it seems to suggest that what we know as peace now, I mean, everyone feels it at some point, and hopefully more and more, but it felt like they were saying that we don't really understand what peace is now, and we're going to start to feel it in a different way. And for me, that's really exciting, because I quite like the peace that I feel sometimes. But if there's something a lot better out there, then I'm very open to that. How did you perceive that?
Yeah, in the way that you've just explained it, I felt like we think we know what it feels like to have this true silence inside us, and we get these moments where our mind, our thoughts are just completely clear, and we're just in that fully present, and it's exquisite. It's like that pure silence. It is peace, right? When you've just got, and I feel like they were kind of referring to that state being extended, but when we haven't really felt it, even though we've had like glimpses of it.
Yeah, I imagine this is what they're referring to as heaven. This extension of what we understand as peace. And bring it on, that's what I say.
Yeah, because then from that you can only really feel joyful, because nothing else, there's no other, there's nothing else pulling at you. You're just in this almost like sort of peaceful, blissful inner state, right? Knowing that you're totally connected. And
yeah, you're in a state of reception where pretty much anything is possible. Whereas when there's noise there, it's obstructing and confusing the creation energy. So they say it will truly start to feel that you're in a world, but most definitely not of it. For you will be living and functioning in a different way. You'll be functioning from a love of true self rather than working against it, rather than unconsciously working against yourself. You'll be taking back the reins of control and starting to feel who is truly you. Yeah, this has been mentioned before. I think we referred to it as the game of life, and you either play the game and you have controls and you determine the direction you go in and the choices you make, or you're played in the game. You're a pawn in the game, if you like, and you're at the behest of everyone else's choices, decisions, world events, and you can be knocked around and it takes you out of your centre. But they're suggesting here that we're going to be taking the reins and the control and the steering wheel and the control stick and everything else, if that's what you choose. And so they're saying like you will be taking back control. And I think that they're referring to your soul self, because the soul self is undistorted. It has no programming or pattern behavior. It will be leading the way. It's very exciting that we're going to get to know who we really are and who our soul self is, and what choices and decisions it chooses to make. And a lot of responsibility is going to be taken off of us, and I can't wait for that. We are urging all to really look at the Martyr programming that is running within them, that hasn't been healed and feels important and empowering, yet is affecting true connection with self. I mean, they've completely turned left with this this comment. I mean, how did you perceive that when that came out? It didn't flow on from the last passage. It was kind of like, well, we've done with that now, let's get on to the next one. We've only got a small amount of time, so
I know.
Let's deal with this.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I guess when I'm just writing it, it all feels like sort of one stream, and then it's only when you read it back, it's like, oh, where did that come in from? To kind of, then you sort of go like that, don't you, in a completely different direction.
But it's quite Martyr programming. I mean, my first reaction to it, if you like, was thinking about other people and martyrdom behaviour, and I was quite triggered by it. So that made me think, the fact that I was triggered by it so much meant that I absolutely have a Martyr programming running. And so I'm going to go and wrestle with that and see where I am with what that means for me, and some deeper self-reflection, to become curious about it. And that's not in a self-judging method. I just want to know what Martyr programming I've got running, so I can do something about it. So I looked at most common Martyr patterns, and it says the one they refer to the fact that it feels important and empowering. So someone who acts as a martyr, they must feel disempowered. So their actions are making them feel more powerful. So there's a gain from their actions. So the martyrdom is not, it's kind of a oxymoron in some ways, because they're saying that martyrdom is done for a reason, so they want something, and that's not a martyr, is it? In the definition of it, the martyrdom is selfless and does something for free at their own expense. So it's actually the opposite. So I looked at some. Working hard, I think, is probably the most common one for most people. Look how hard I work, look what I've done. We're wanting recognition for that. And isn't he amazing? Hasn't he done great work? Or she done great work? And thank you very much. And we get empowered by that recognition. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't work hard, but if you want to work hard, do it for yourself, because you like working hard, not because you want recognition for it or you want some honouring, because that comes with distortion energy, and then that has to be balanced and corrected. I don't know if that's a fabulous example, but it felt like a very common one. Yeah, so you're claiming identity through I'm a hard worker, but then that's used as an emotional weapon. So it's in distortion. Don't you see how hard I work? So from that you want something. How do you perceive the empowerment aspect of that?
So I'm wondering also if they're referring to where we feel that we need to kind of be of service to other people, because that's part of like what we're here to do, be in service, and then that feels good to us because that's what we're doing. But on another side, we're depleted if we're not at that stage where we feel such a strong connection with our soul and our source, that we're doing it from a different place of, oh, I'm here to save.
I see.
So that's how my sort of understanding.
It's my job to save, and I want recognising for it.
Yeah, that's my take on it. Like, I love the fact that you are so honest and authentic, and that you've given yourself as the example of reading something and then saying, gosh, that triggered me, so there must be something in that. So I feel like how you've perceived it is right, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, we often point out that it's really important for everyone to have their own opinions here.
Yeah.
We're just expressing our opinions from channeled information, and that's just how we feel. And how you feel is more important. The other one I wrote down, whether it's connected here or not, I'm not sure, but I often see in my clinic patients with chronic illnesses that don't get better. And I remember asking one person some years ago, what would it be like if you didn't have this illness, this chronic fatigue, I think it was. And you know, the tears appeared in this person's eyes, and they said, well, who am I? Who would I be if I wasn't ill, and who would love me and who would look after me? And it was gut-wrenching, because this person is locked in this martyrdom energy that is serving them, because they feel so worthless that they have to live in this energy in order to get recognition. But in reality, the people that are looking after her hate the fact that she's not getting better, because it drives them up the wall. It's a slightly different interpretation of what the DC are talking about here, but it's still an example of martyrdom. We come with a reminder that connection with your true self sees you filling yourself before you can truly be a divine vessel of activation and remembering for others. So the way I perceive this is that the DC were suggesting that we can't really help others to the maximum, I suppose, until we're full of our soul light, or soul energy, or higher self. And in order to achieve that, we have to fully eliminate all the patterns and programming. That doesn't mean that we can't help people. It's a relative gradation, if you like, I suppose. It's a process. So, you know, if you're 10% soul embodied, then you can help people to 10% of your maximum, whatever that maximum is, and so on and so on. That's just a roughshod perception on it. But they're saying, in order for us to not project our own patterns and programming, to not project martyrdom energy, requires us to fully embody our soul light. So that's our goal, that's our purpose. That's something we need to ask for each and every day, is more and more realization of our soul light, our high self embodiment. And then we can help without even thinking about it. Without blinking an eye, we'll just be helping people by being alive. And we're moving towards that. The pattern of martyrdom is rife within the spiritual awakening community, and many are working on religious oaths that they made in the past, yet in practice are still reverting to them. I think this is the peppering spicy bit that I was referring to earlier. I felt that the DC were referring to bleed-throughs from past lives of religious indoctrination. I think anyone who's kind of in the spiritual work nowadays, in terms of helping and healing and that arena, then we've been there before, and some of us have been burned at the stake, had our heads chopped off, hung, drawn and quartered, and also been part of religious sects where we've taken oaths and covenants and whatever else. And so that bleed through comes through your DNA. And even if you think you're a spiritual teacher on this spiritual path, if you've not dealt with those belief systems, then they're going to come through in your teaching. And I feel that's what the DC are referring to here. I mean, I was raised a Catholic, so I can only really comment on my own perspective, on my own upbringing. But the idea, they use the word martyr in honouring of deities, I mean, if we sort of bring that alongside what the DC are saying here, honouring a martyr's slightly at odds with the way we should be living our lives and looking up to teachers and respecting teachers, because martyrdom is distortion energy. And the idea of a martyr from a sort of Catholic Christian perspective is to, I feel anyway, move you away from your sovereignty, making people feel less.
Yeah.
I'll never attain that level of martyrdom. It's totally at odds with where you should be at and finding sovereignty in yourself. I imagine that those people that were here in those days, those whatever martyrs, they were fully soul embodied, and they did it, whatever they were doing. They probably didn't want to get set on fire or hung or whatever else. Well, they didn't choose that, but the work that they were doing was probably selfless. But as an example of, you can do this too. But the masculine dominated religions have chosen to use that as distortions to, one, control women, the divine feminine, and two, to make people feel less than they are. Quite a damning comment, and it's what I feel. I don't think religion is helpful at the moment, but having said that, I think it's absolutely essential that we have gathering places for people to share spirituality and to pray and to care for each other and to come together to connect with source energy. And if that's in a church, in a synagogue, or whatever, a temple, then we need those places at this moment in time. But don't buy into the belief systems and the dogma that's attached to it. We are here to help free you from all the patterns and programming that have affected you, that you now have the true opportunity to be free from, to experience, in a sense, heaven on earth. But the buck does stop with you. If only you could see how much you affect yourselves by falling prey to programs within you that feel powerful to you. If you could become so vulnerable as to say inwardly, I just don't know what to do, what to think, what to know, what to do. That's a good place to be for your opening up a space for your soul, true self, higher self to step through. So first of all, I mean, it feels very reassuring that there's a collective energy like the DC, like Saint Germain and many others, angels and other non-physical beings that are here constantly around us, waiting to support us on our journey. But they're asking us to increase our humility and be more vulnerable, and to ask questions, to be curious, to try not to know, to not to need to know the answers to things or the information to things, to be go into that curious state, and it creates space. It creates an emptiness within inside, and then your soul light can come through and inform you from that higher perspective. So the wisdom actually comes from you if you create the space of not knowing. And the not knowing is your human self, the mind. Well, your soul self knows everything. It needs permission to come in through and access through the vulnerability and the openness and the curiosity, to sit in that space of, I really don't know, and be okay with that. If we're forever looking externally for information to fill up that space, so that can be through teachers, through books, through media, whatever, then you fill that space and the soul energy can't come through. There's no room for it. It will always give you priority and preference of free will and choice. And if that free will and choice is, I don't know, can you tell me? I'm talking about your higher self, then that's what will happen. It will come through as intuitive sense, in a knowing, and then that can evolve. The more and more you practice that can evolve into more direct communication. So when you first were automatic writing, can you remember being in an open state, in a vulnerable state, or what
Yes. Yeah, I was, when we talk about that state of being quite broken,
right.
And so I now see that as, although it felt painful, it was so freeing at the same time, because it meant, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I my mind was like, I don't know what to do. So it's like I was forced into what you're talking about. So I had to be vulnerable, and I had to say, oh my gosh, can you help me? Because at this moment in time, I almost can't help myself. I was kind of like, and so in that sense, I was in a very kind of vulnerable state. And I think that must have been how it helped build the connection. And then I actually realised, I actually quite, not from the painful place, then from a different perspective, this feels almost more natural to be in that state than it does, I know. So I think it came through being almost like brought to my knees.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've spoken about this before. Space and movement are fundamental to existence, survival, growth, expansion of humanity. And it feels open when you are vulnerable and just don't know. It's like you become an open book. And we've spoke about this before too, about clients coming into a clinic seemingly between a rock and a hard place and thinking there's absolutely no way out of this, I can't see any way out of this. And if you move that towards that acceptance and vulnerability of I just don't know how to get out of this, rather than oh no, I don't know how to get out of this, it's just, I guess, almost relaxing into not knowing, then that creates the space. And then your soul energy comes in and makes the decisions and choices for you, resolves the challenges.
And just to add to that, after a while, it was then explained, aha, you are on the path of surrender. So ultimately, that's what we're talking about, isn't it? That we're learning to surrender to that higher aspect of ourselves.
Yes. The bit that knows everything. So here's another spicy bit. Another peppering of spice. Many believe that they are very connected to their true self, their soul, yet they are not. This is in no way said in judgment, just the truth of spiritual delusion, if you like. Many fall prey to being more spiritual, more connected, more knowledgeable, and this is in and of itself is a sign that they are not. Why do we bring this up this week? Because we cannot stress enough how much you are in charge of your own reality. Now, what we would like to caveat with is this. Many times on the path of surrender, you will find yourself in situations that don't make sense to your mind, that ultimately don't make sense to you. Yet you are within the confusion. Can you see the gold? How are you within the confusion? Can you see the gold, or are you falling victim? And I'll caveat this as well from my own perspective, is that there are fabulous teachers out there who do know a lot and have got through experience. I like the teachers that tell their story of what they've been through, where they've come from, and still remain humble in that. The difficulties and the challenges. I would be wary of someone who hasn't, because how would you know otherwise? Certainly from my generation anyway. Maybe the younger generations, they seem a bit clearer with their karma, but I'm sure that'll be for another conversation one day. But don't get drawn into other people's delusions or even ideas if they're not resonating with yours. If you find a teacher and they might offer some information that's helpful and the rest of it not, take what's good. It's the same with a book. A lot of books are written, and at the instruction of the editor, they fat them out and regurgitate information that's not necessarily primary information. And so you can look at a book and take out what you want and throw away the rest. And it's the same with teachers. We should just consider them as guideposts on the way of our own journey. But the DC are saying the reason they've mentioned this is because your truth, your way, is the most important. Your sovereignty is the most important. And they bring attention to confusion, because confusion, from the way I understand it here, is that there are two versions of it. There's confusion that's creating division in human consciousness or human society, And that's the whole left and right thing, up, down, black, white, yada. All of that we've spoken many times before, politics, religion, all of that stuff. And it's manipulation, and it keeps you in a separation consciousness, and then you're easy to be controlled, manipulated, and the divide continues. But the DC have added another flavour of confusion here, because, you know, as we arrive or get closer towards this division point, there's going to be confusing, conflicting information, and that's not to say it's good, bad, or indifferent. They're just asking us to sit with the confusion and go, that's interesting, be curious about the confusion and wait for the arrival of your truth to come, rather than searching for it and trying to get an answer for it in an external source. Sit in the confusion and be excited about the confusion. It's like, oh wow, I don't actually know the answer to this. And that's becoming, for me anyway, more and more prevalent these days. Like, people that you've known and trusted, and still to be trusted in many ways, they're going down a certain path that they feel aligned to, and it's not necessarily where I'm aligned to, but it's their truth, and it's not necessarily the wrong way, it's just different. And so I sit with that and go, well, do I really want to go to that place or listen to that information, and make my own choice? And I think that's what they're encouraging us to do. So confusion is an opportunity in this instance. So they've gone on to say, let's try and explain this. To truly shift into the surrendered state of living in the flow. And remember, the flow doesn't always move in the logical way your mind expects it to. You have to let go of how you think things should be. And sometimes in the opening up of the space to allow your soul, higher self through, you may find yourself in experiences and situations that may not necessarily seem spiritual to you. Yet where you find yourself in the very moment you are at is perfect for you, even if you can't grasp why at the time you are where you are at. We ask you to trust that things can change in a moment for you. Sometimes, perhaps being out of the spiritual world for a little while is exactly what is needed for you. For you can never truly be out. What is actually occurring is a strengthening with your true self. This is where we would like to leave you this week. So the old energy, if you like, based on history, based on what we know in this reality world. So it's kind of a flow of life. So there's an obvious flow from being an infant to a young child to adolescent, a young adult, seniors, and there's an expectation of the flow of life between those things. Social expectations within the family arena, all of that sort of stuff. The DC are asking us to forget all of that, basically, from what I understand this, and to understand, or to accept rather, that the flow of life in the new energy, the new human, the new earth, may take us in directions that we've not experienced before, don't understand, and have no foresight as to see where that might be going, which is for some of us exciting and some others scary. And they're asking us to really truly let go and surrender to the flow, that everything is being taken care of, to trust in the flow and be excited about where it's going, and to understand that within that flow, that stream of consciousness, that flow of energy, that the opportunities, the things that come to us are more opportunities than they are challenges, is the way I perceive it. On that journey, that flowing journey, is to trust in yourself and to make your own decisions rather than keep searching in the past for old energy information. It's almost like there's no rule books anymore. You just got to make a decision on how you feel in that moment when those situations arrive. So just into the final commentary, which I found also reassuring, that the DC know exactly where we are at every moment, and they've kind of proved that at the end of Helen's channeling, when she went into the live channel, and they knew her eyesight was being affected by Saint Germain occupying that channel, transmitting through the channel, so they must have been in her eyes in order to know that. So all a bit weird, but the reassuring thing here is they know where each and every one of us is at in our journey. We're in the right place, exactly the right place according to them, and to not stress out over it, to keep pointing yourself to yourself, go inwards, take no evidence from the outside, external events, take all you need to know from inside of you more and more. And also, just to expand on that point of where you are, they were suggesting there's some agitation, if you like, over where people feel that they're at, and I see it a lot in clinic as well, myself included, and Helen. I think most people that are on the sort of spiritual path, and especially in the teacher healer role as well, it's kind of like we're coming to the end of a journey from the old energy, but the new one hasn't been revealed to us yet. Maybe we're in a holding zone, maybe we're just waiting for new information or new activations to come through, but there's a feeling that we're not doing enough, or we're doing the wrong thing. But the DC were trying to point out that not everything is spiritual, but is spiritual. So we could be in a mundane job, or a job where you think it's served its purpose and is not really serving you on many levels, but there's a purpose for this, because I guess the stress-free environment of something that you know inside out is creating space within you for activations to come in, for new information to come through, and they're just asking us to be okay with it. It is going to change. There's a lot going to change, and we're in a good space. Take credence in that. Be mindful of events coming up. Don't get drawn into the fear. Definitely don't get drawn into gossip or any other low vibrational things like that. If events do happen where we're called upon as human beings to help another, then that's what we do, and we do it with open hearts, and we do it without the need for recognition, without the energy of martyrdom, and do it because you love other human beings and for nothing else. That's all from me.
I've had some really big healings when I've been on long car journeys where I've been just driving monotonously for like hours and thinking, oh gosh, and then all of a sudden I've either I've heard like you're gonna start feeling something, and then all of a sudden I'm there like tears pouring down my eyes, and I'm like, wow, a lot can happen in the mundaneness of a drive.
Bring on the mundane. And just on a technical note, if you've noticed anything in the last minute or two that looks a bit different, if the continuity is not the same, if it's darker or the camera's different, it's because we had a bit of a technical blowout right at the end of the last one. But anyway, we managed to retrieve it, claw it all back, thanks to Helen, and hopefully it's not interrupted your enjoyment too much. So thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. There's a lot more to come, which we'll hopefully be able to tell you about very soon, and we're very excited and looking forward to that. So go well, sending love and blessings to everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.